Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back for the final time here in Season 10 as you join us on the Tier 4 grid for one last big hurrah. It is, of course, round 12, the Bahrain Grand Prix. The drivers taking under the lights to the deserts here around this pretty much a mainstay of not just the F1 calendar, of course the CRL calendar. 15 turns technically here. It's been held 19 times, and of course a 5.4 kilometre circuit, 3.3 miles for those that prefer it that way. We're about to get underway with qualifying, of course. The last 18-minute shootout where 18 of our drivers take to the grid. I believe a few, unfortunately, not able to make it. One of them, the most notable, Ghost Angel 1, currently serving a race van, will not be in the grid tonight, and unfortunately that does tie up the Red Lantern. Of course, the Red Lantern, for those that don't know, a little bit of a Dutch tradition, started in Tier 3 last season, where the bottom place driver is gifted with a lantern of the red variety, and Ghost Angel 1, unfortunately, with that race ban for accumulation of pin points, going to serve that. MKP, on the other side of the spectrum, was confirmed as champion last week. A well-deserved champion, of course. Definitely one with the pace to mix it up, but that does not take away from what we have here tonight, because there is a duel in the desert with Wikami, Cavolis, Curly, and I believe Tomo Tip-Top. Tomo Tip-Top just outside, provisionally was maybe in with a shout, but those three then, Kami, Cavolis and Curly, all in with a shot at capturing that P2 in the standings. So we'll see how that goes out tonight. We do have, of course, 18 on the grid competing for that Drivers' Championship. 11 previous rounds between all four tiers, and is Red Bull and Haas, the two prime ones, duking it out. Alpine and Ferrari still in with a sniff, and McLaren, Williams and Alfa Romeo not too far off getting those podium positions either, and it's going to be a lot of work for Aston Martin and AlphaTauri. But Red Bull 108 points clear as things stand. One of the drivers hoping to overturn this deficit is going to be Wikami. He's going to look to try and secure P2 in the standings tonight, alongside potentially a Constructors' Championship win for the boys in Haas. Currently coming through the second sector now, one of the tricky traction zones here on the exit of turn 8. Of course, Bahrain is a little bit of a balanced circuit. There's some long straights, of course, but there's some twisty technical parts to the track. A lot of medium, a lot of high-speed corners as well, which sees, despite all those long straights, of course, you've effectively got 4 long straights, 3 of which have DRS overtaking zones. It's quite high wings here, so the setup is going to play a massive part. Do you run those slightly higher wings? Do you run those slightly lower wings? And, you've got to really balance it out. The higher wing's going to help in the long run in the race, but might leave you a little bit vulnerable here for the top speed. Kami has been showing some good speed on this lap, though. It's going to be the first of this 18-minute qualifying session. 4 minutes already gone, of course, on the clock. And Kami up to the line is going to set a 1:30.6. Now, my little inside knowledge that I know, I'm expecting times to get down into the 29s towards the end of this session. Mikey Hatton with a decent, very decent first lap on his return after a little bit of surgery. And Tomo Tip-Top, well, he went Tomo Tip-Top of the standings for last week's race, of course, winning last time out in Zandvoort. MKP showing the championship credentials, 29.5, so we're already down into those 29s, creeping towards those low 29s, really showing the pace this grid has developed over the course of the season. Last time out, though, like we said, Tomo Tip-Top taking top spot ahead of MKP and Cavolis. Murphy, Wee Rabbi, Kami, Warry Huntsman, Tovar, Curly, Spider, Wuban and Duncan rounding off the point scorers and the finishers. Indeed, in what was a little bit of an attrition-based race, I think you could say. Good evening, everybody, tonight, of course, that is tuned in. I don't think there's any comments in yet. I'm going to try my best to keep an eye on things. Just myself tonight, of course. Harry, Tony and Lee all unable to join. So it is just going to be my lovely dulcet Scottish tones for you to enjoy this evening. But if anybody is listening, I can see there is a few in already. Just give me a little yes, a little no, if you can hear me, of course. If you can't hear me, you're not going to be able to give me a no. Cavolas with a 30.303, exactly a tenth off Jenkins, and that is going to be the battle of the constructors already raging on as things stand. His teammate Spider on an outlap will jump back on board and see how that battle dukes it out. Pancake though going to take us through this first sector, which we haven't really seen properly on board for this qualifying session. Of course, Cami catching him through that second sector, so you do have that very twisty 1, 2 and 3. It's crucial to get a nice line through there. It can really upset if you get a bad breaking point into 1, how you take 2 and 3, and that affects your run all the way up to 4. You couple in with a DRS zone, that could really affect you. One thing that's going to affect that lap, and that is certainly track limits on turn number 7 for Serial Pancake. It's going to be an invalid lap for him. He's going to have to go round again and try once more. Harvey then in the Ferrari has done a flying lap. I do believe, yes, he is on a very slow lap by the looks of it. Victor Mean, that light is flashing, and we're at my favourite time of the session when I try and figure out who's on a lap and who's just diving about, just driving around. Wee Rabbi, it's a strange one. He isn't really using much ERS, isn't gaining much. No, he isn't on a lap at all. AFL might be on a lap. Let's jump on board with him and see how it runs out. He is on a lap coming up towards turn number 4 then. Again, I mentioned traction zones very, very briefly. Okay, there is a few tricky ones around here, particularly turn number 4, particularly turn number 8, particularly on the exit of turn 10, that downhill left-hander, and then I'm going to quickly mute and just make sure that I'm heard all right over the stream, and I've not been talking to myself for the last few minutes. That audio sound balance sounds alright. See when I do it myself, you can hear everything perfectly. It's an absolute joy, an absolute pleasure. It seems to be working all right. MKP then improving on his time. It looks to be a back-to-back run as well for the Scotsman, a 29.483. AFL then coming through this final sector. It is, to a degree, one of the more simpler final sectors on the circuit, of course. Just that long right-hander, a back straight, and then a double right. That is technically 14, and then 15, that little kink. All sort of fades into one. Where can AFL go? He's had a little bit of a disappointing season, and it is going to be a disappointing time for AFL. A 131 flat, currently the last of the lap sitters. His teammate Duncan, newly promoted into the full-time seat, I am right in believing, after BX37 Pro failing to meet the quota for full-time races. Of course, we do have a recommended quota for the races you attend to be considered full-time, because seats are limited, of course. And speaking of seats, I've got to say a huge congratulations to this Tier 4 grid. By far the most consistent and the most the week in, week out, really, the highest attendance, the most consistent attendance, and a lot of drivers hitting that high percentage. We'll have maybe a little bit of stats of such in the server. Nathan, I might have just dropped you in there with that, but I believe there is something in the works with attendance, and it's definitely something we're looking at, because it has been a little bit fading in the upper tiers, but these guys down here in Tier 4 certainly showing the faster boys, quote-unquote faster boys, it must be said, because some of these times, 29.4, I won't do that kind of time in first day, I can tell you that, MKP. They're definitely starting to get up there. I wonder if there was a little bit of I hope there wasn't a little bit of interruption or a little bit of throwing off there between the two Williams. Maybe a little bit of teamwork even going on with a bit of slipstream down the back straight here. Duncan then going to round these final couple of corners and get their first flying lap of the session. I believe the Portuguese driver up to the line, and it's a 30.226, P6 for Williams at the moment, and Duncan in that Ferrari standing very strong in 3 and 4. And that battle of Curly, Cabolas and Cami, 4, 7 and 10. Currently, it's advantage to Curly. Let's get on board with everybody's favourite admin. Bad timing, Murphy, just as the back end steps out. A big shout out from myself, of course, as part of the head admin team, for all the work this man, and of course his second in command. I don't think that's doing him any injustice. CRL Spider. These guys have done a brilliant job running this tier, keeping things running smoothly, and part of the reason why the attendance has been so good is the work these guys do on and off the track. Murphy then has had a few good qualifying sessions, a few good races. Can he go out on a high? It's a 1:30.4 for the old man from the northeast. He's definitely got time in the tank. I know Murphy can put the pace down when he really wants, and he'll certainly be looking to improve. Topher, currently in P18, currently hasn't set a lap. Let's ride on board with him, of course. He is currently coming around turn number 11. That quickly turns into turn number 12. These medium to high speed, left, right. Really another corner you've got to be careful, specifically with the setup. A little bit too much input on the throttle, on the braking, on the steering can really unsettle the car and sling you off into the barrier faster than you can count to 10. And that is really, we've seen it in seasons gone by. I've been there in seasons gone by, where a car just takes off from underneath you into the wall, safety car deployed, and things go all awry. Topher, with a 1:31.009, if I believe right, had a very strong race and a very strong qualifying right up until the end of the session last week. So definitely won't be happy with P14. Definitely a little bit more pace in the tank. Tom with Tip Top still in P2 with a 1:29.892, and one of many drivers currently running the number 65 on their car this evening. That, of course, I'm very lovely to see, I must admit, as he is not on a flying lap. Very lovely to see a sign of respect for our very own CRL Spider, who sadly has lost his father in recent weeks to illness. So a big sign of respect from the grid here. I believe most, if not all, of the drivers run here. And in line with that, in number 65, we're going to hold a little minute silent here from minute 6 to minute 5 of qualifying. So please join me in consolidation with Rob with that. Thank you very much for joining me in that little mark of respect, not just to Rob, but to anybody in the community that has lost somebody over the course of these last 3 to 4 months during this season. Of course, we're all here to race, we're all here to try and be the best, but at our heart, we are a community of like-minded individuals trying to enjoy a similar and at times very frustrating pastime. So a big thank you to that, and a big shout out to the grid here joining in solidarity, come together with the number 65. It's a good job I don't have any telemetry, because that would play havoc. Warrior Huntsman then, again, an experienced driver. It's crazy how experienced this grid is from a driver such as myself, been around since season 4. A lot of really experienced and names about for seasons upon seasons. Of Warrior 9 on his first run of this evening. Not a lot of time in this session, 4 minutes left. He could be quick and get back to the pits, get a fresh set of tyres on and try to go again, but it's going to be very fine. MKP's in a flying lap. Purple Sector 2. Is the Merc going to just stamp his authority? You would think. We did ask him, is he going to sit back and relax this week? The championship's done. Well, he's currently 4 times clear at the top, and he's currently on for a best lap of the session. What is he going to be able to do? It's a 29 flat. Now, that, if my memory serves me right, that would be a very competitive time in Tier 3. He's currently 8 times clear of his next nearest opposition. And P2 and P3 unlikely to get another lap in here. Well, Tomo Tip Top's definitely not. He's Tomo Tip done. Currently retired in the pits. Warrior Huntsman, it's going to be tight, like I say, for him to get back to the pits and back out in time. Harvey's on a flying lap. We'll keep an eye on him. Currently only 2 thousandths ahead of his teammate, who is just about to start a lap, as is Jenkins, and as is Duncan. Gavolis still in the pits. Wuban and a few of the back markers of Mighty Atom, Topher, AFL and Pancake at this stage. So we'll see what kind of lap time they can all throw together. Harvey, I just missed that first sector split. Trying to do too much myself here tonight, folks, eh? One-man band. It's been a while, but we'll try and keep things rolling the best I can. Big shout out to Cole Paradox, Big Man Mick in the chat. Good luck for all the last time, boys. Love it. Absolutely love it. Harvey has it backed out of the lap, so I believe the next car on a flyer, it's the man himself. It's CRL Spider, currently coming down the back straight then between 10 and 11 as a McLaren jumps up the standards. That's wee Ravi going up to P2 with a 29.828. Still not really scratching that time of MKP. He's 7.5 tenths clear, it must be said. Near enough 8 if you looked at it just by the first decimal point. 8 tenths clear to almost a degree. Rob is not on a lap. I've just noticed that red light is blinking more than a BMW's indicators. There's a joke in there somewhere. Murphy isn't on a lap either. I believe this Haas of Jenkins is on a lap, so we haven't seen any split times here, but we will get a little bit of footage for the Haas driver rounding the final couple of corners for what will arguably the last qualifying session of season 10 for Jenkins. His debut season, of course. It is provisional P2, a 29.681 for the Haas, and that could be big in the Constructors' Championship battle. Curley, another driver in the 29.8s, an 8.66 currently provisional P4. We've got an Alpha Tauri just about to start a lap. That is the Mighty Atom. Next up looks to be, I believe it's Topher on an outlap. Cavolis is on an outlap. Is Murphy on a flyer? Murphy looks to be on a flyer here. We'll ride on board with the man himself and see what kind of time he can put in. Only needs to find 6 tenths. Now that sounds like a lot, but all of those that have driven before will know that you get that first banker down and it gives you that little bit of confidence, and you find a 10th here, a 10th there, and 6 tenths all of a sudden can really, really start to add up, and that could put him in contention for a P3, P4. He needs to find 1.4 for the pole spot, of course, but stranger things have happened. We'll see what the second sector split is looking like. 6 tenths up, what did I say? You can find it quite easy and quite quick. A good launch out of that corner and a good launch out of 14/15 here could be the difference between potentially P6 and potentially P2. P1, I'm not saying it's out of realms of possibility, but it's going to be a gulp and a mountain to climb for Mr. Murphy here. It is P3, 29.74. The checkered flag has been flown, and it is going to be final laps for a few cars. One of them is Pancake. Nope, he has finished this session. I believe Curley is on a lap coming into the pits. Let's get on board with Mighty Atom very quickly then as he finishes up this session. Does not improve. The Haas behind coming into the pits. The other Haas looks to be on a slow lap, so I believe it is Topher going to be the next to be on a flyer. Looks to be about a quarter of a second up. Does our boy Topher coming through the final couple of corners. A little nice tidy apex, it must be said, just kissing the curb, not mounting it, not really doing anything untoward. And does improve, but not by enough to get a position. 1 whole thousandth of beating out the Mighty Atom. Cavolis up into P7 then, as that was happening with a nice flying lap of 29.9. We've got AFL, wasn't on a flyer. His teammate Duncan was the one getting a bit of slipstream. Currently only 3% of the battery left in the Williams. That might impact the last bit of time down towards the final run to the line, and in fact it has improved his lap time, but again not by enough to gain a position. And Aston Martin up to the line, I believe that was Wuban, and last across the line for this qualifying session, it's going to be the two admins. It's going to be Spider, and then it's going to be Murphy. And there we go, quick as you like. Qualifying for the final time this season is finito in the deserts of Bahrain. MKP, he goes MK pole. Did anybody expect anything different? Jenkins in P2 ahead of the two McLarens, and all McLaren row 2, Murphy in P3 ahead of Wee Ravi, the first of the P2 title contenders in the form of Curly in P5 ahead of Tomo Tip Top, last week's race winner. Cavolis, though, only 2 positions and a row behind Curly. That'll be an interesting battle to keep an eye on. Wuban, Huntsman and Harvey round off the top 10 before Cammy. A disappointing qualifying session for him. A few of his rivals in that battle for the P2. Duncan, Victor Mean, Mighty Atom, Topher, Spider, AFL and Pancake then round off the session. And we'll just give you a quick little rundown through of the standings. Of course, MKP, 205 points, 47 clear of Wee Cammy. There's only 31 available tonight. Title done and dusted. Cammy, though, 12 points, ahead of Cavolis, who is 10 points ahead of Curly. So Cammy does have the advantage here at this stage. But it's not over until that checkered flag drops. Tomo Tip Top, Murphy, Wee Ravi having a little battle. They're on 124, 121, 19 up in that little battle. Wiban in P8. Well, he's got Zolf just behind on 4 points adrift. Zolf not racing tonight, so that is done and dusted. Jenkins, however, only 7 points adrift. Could really get in the mix. AFL Warrior Huntsman, 5 points separate them. P11, P12 respectively, 41 and 36 between them. And then we got a tight group here. Pancake on 28, Baguette on 27, Topher on 25, Harvey on 24, Rob on 21 and Victor Mean on 18. And then it was a battle for the wooden spoon between Duncan and Ghost Angel 1. Duncan on 9, Ghost Angel 1 on 8. Of course, Ghost Angel 1 not racing tonight, so that is done and dusted. But pretty much every position bar 1st and 20th are up for grabs here tonight. 31 points. The likes of Duncan, currently with 9 points down in P19, could see himself skyrocket up to 12th. The likes of Wee Ravi, currently with 119 points, could jump up to theoretical P3. There is anything that could happen tonight with these standards. It's all going to be up in the air, and unfortunately as such, I'm not going to be able to keep you in the loop too live. I might not even be able to tell you roughly at the end. I'm sort of hoping that whoever we get in the podium interviews has an idea what it does, particularly if it's any of the guys involved in that P2 championship battle. But I'll try my best to advise, as have you ever had a cough that sort of you try and cancel out and becomes a bit of yawn? Have you ever knee slide cancelled a yawn before? Because it seems like I just did that. I'm just waffling at this stage already. We're waiting for this timer. This is my least favourite part of the race weekend, is when we're sitting here, twiddling our thumbs, waiting for the strategies to get called in, for the fuel to get decided, and all that good stuff that goes on before the race. The final nerves getting settled, the quick run for a drink, or other hospitality toilet break, you know. We've all been there, but that's all done and dusted. Mix of strategies tonight. Expected a good mix of mediums and hards, of course. This is a very high abrasive circuit, just with the nature of the corners, the nature of the track temps. We've got... That was another one of them cancelled. We've got another one of these good mixes. Top 7 then, from MKP down to Cavall. This is Harvey and Cammy have coming together and have been disqualified from the formation lap. So will start on the stop-finish straight with cold tyres. That could play havoc on things tonight. But the top 7 on the mediums, as is P9 of Warrior Huntsman, Wee Cammy in 11 disqualified, also starting in the mediums. Mighty Atom, Spider and AFL 14th, 16th and 18th respectively, all starting on the mediums. Also, Pancake, Topher, Victor Mean and Duncan 18th, 15th, 13th and 12th respectively, all on the hards. And the only top 10 runner on the hards is the man himself, Cyril Wubang. The one outlier, well, one of two outliers if you look at it from the DSQ point of view, but Harvey on the softs, the red tyres to match the red Ferrari. A 2-stop is a possibility of here, of course, a soft, medium, medium, and even a soft, medium. I do believe the hard medium is the optimal green flag only racing strategy, of course. But, well, we've seen a few safety cars over the weeks. We may see a few more for this final last time. I'm fighting, I've got to just cough or yawn or something. So while these cars round the final corner and we get ready for the start procedure, I'm going to quickly mute, leave you guys in peace, and I'm going to hopefully stretch my face so hard that there's no more interruptions. I'm not gonna lie, folks, I just yawned so hard I was looking like a baby chick waiting for its mama to feed it some worms. Had mouth full open, full adrift, full arrest, but no time for rest for these drivers because we have 5 red lights here in Bahrain. Lights out for the final time here in Tier 4, Season 10. And we are away. MKP leading the pack. He's got a challenge of Jenkins though, looking to go down the inside. They're almost free, 4 wide for the back. They're about 6 wide right at the back there. Unfortunately only going to get one camera angle here as the front runners do make it through. Jenkins ahead of MKP. The 2 McLarens holding 3 and 4, getting very, very racy between those two, however. And Harvey up a few positions. Murphy going a little bit wide, and Carly trying to sneak on through the middle. There's a bit of contact there, and fortunately they've all seemed to have made it through, well, the front pack at least, without any incident or out any damage. A Ferrari going a little bit wide, and Aston Martin, I believe, going a little bit wide there through 7, 8 and 9. But for the most part, apart from a bit of pack spread, we look to be alright. We're going to quickly jump down through the pack. And has AFL got any damage, or has it just been squabbling that's made that gap? He has went a little bit deep there into 10, and that's going to invite pressure from Victor Mean to try and sneak alongside. In fact, it's not going to be any pressure. It's going to be nice and easy. Yellow flag in sector 2, and that is MKP having a spin, an uncharacteristic spin, an uncharacteristic error from the champion, and he's all the way down in P18. Now, is this a telltale sign of maybe setups creeping in, or maybe is it a telltale sign of just, I've won the championship, let's not put as much practice in? He's down in P18. AFL battling out with Pancake, his teammate, of course, having that spin. Pancake making the moves on AFL. Rob getting a move on Topher, although I believe Topher has had a little bit of a half spin. A car pulling into the pits there, that is AFL, so did have damage, confirming that. The time intervals are all over the place, more than me on a Saturday night. And well, I'll try and find the battles that are happening. Harvey on those softs really starting to make some inroads to the field, currently up into P6 as Murphy gets the move on Tomo Tip Top into turn number 4. Tomo trying to fight it around the inside, going for a little bit of a switchback, but just putting himself in the poorer of the positions, it must be said. There's only really going to be one prime racing line through that section, and Murphy taking it pretty well. I just see Cammy voicing his disapproval, just catching up with the comments of me saying he had a disappointing qualifying session. He's called me a wee grape. Quite the insult, it must be said, quite the insight. Hopefully these intervals fix ourselves up at the end of lap 2. It's good to see that this glitch that we'd got rid of for a few games, or for a few months at least, has now returned. And speaking of returning, Harvey, Tomo Tip Top and Murphy back on our team, back battling once more. We'll see how this runs all down. Of course, soft and 2 mediums. Those softs are going to be very racy. You can see Harvey that little bit more grip, just getting much closer to the rear of the cars. Murphy making a mistake though, and Tomo Tip Top going to fly by on the right. Harvey going to get into that slipstream, follow suit, burn a little bit of ERS, and in fact he's going to go for a late dive. Not so much of a late dive, just a racy dive down into turn 1 on Tomo Tip Top. Not quite able to make the move stick, but could set up a bit of a run down towards turn 4. Of course, DRS assistance now enabled if you're within 1 second of the car in front, and Tomo just going to pull inside, defend that outside line from Murphy, and not invite any more pressure, knowing that soft runner's going to push through on these tyres, make a bit of inroads, and maybe cause a little bit of chaos further up once he catches up. Be interesting to see how the team game goes between himself and Curley when that gap is, of course, bridged. Curley, speaking of which, prime in the fight for P2 as wee Ravi got very close to Jenkins through turn number 10, and that could invite Curley to have a little go, have a little run down towards turn 10. He is holding that outside line, using a good bit of that curve. That is good to see down here in Tier 4. That's the little tricks that the Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 drivers use to get that little bit quicker. And just seeing a driver down here, even in Tier 4, using these little tips and tricks, these little, just the minor things that can really, really make the difference in your lap time. It's great to see, and great to really just reaffirm the improvement. Not just this season, but the start of this season from last season, and the end of this season to the start of this season. It's been brilliant to see, not just in the grid as a whole, but individual drivers, MKP being one of them, and Curley as well, another of them. Cami as well, you know, I can't really discount any of them. Cavolis in as an outsider, a little bit of a rank outsider, didn't know much to think what sort of pace he had, and as soon as he got going, he well and truly got going. So great to see all around. This front three still duking it out. MKP cut his way through the field, currently going down the inside of Spider by the looks of it into turn 1 and 2. His teammates had a little bit of an incident or a spin by the looks of things just at turn 3. Maybe just spinning the wheels up a bit too much of the car, duking across to the left. And the first penalty of this evening, it goes to CRL Murphy. 3-second time penalty for track limit infractions. Quick cough from myself while on the old mute button, and Murphy losing 3 seconds of his life with that time penalty and losing a position to Cavolis. MKP getting it past the mighty Atom up into P13, but 6.9 seconds adrift from the rest of the pack. Still going to be a bit of a catch up for him to maybe try and end his season championship winner and with a race win. It's not out of the realms of the possibility. Harvey getting very close to the 1 second gap to his teammate, of course. Maybe needs to burn a little bit of that ERS just to get in. Again, it's a track where there is some very harsh braking zones, and you can regain a little bit of the old ERS. But with so many straights like this, like the one on the exit of turn 3, like the one on the exit of turn 10, and of course like the one on the exit of turn 13, it's very easy to burn through the ERS. The front two, while I'm gibbering on about that, having a bit of a ding-dong battle. Ravi ahead of Jenkins here, and Jenkins this time gonna have the DRS, but no ERS crucially. 5 laps into this race, his battery has been bled dry. A little bit of contact there, and Ravi losing the car under traction, makes a bit of contact with Curley. That one might end up in the steward's office. I'm not going to comment on incidents. I don't think there's too much that will be looked into that. It's just a small mistake between the two drivers, but Curley losing a position to his teammate. But crucially, that has brought Harvey and Tomo into this front 10. 3 has become 5, and if Tom and Cavolis can maybe Murphy, Cavolis and Cami can stop their squabbling and not work together as such, but just push up the road, and you know, you're going to lose time battling, they could rejoin this train and we'd have a train all the way down to P12, because it is, yeah, it takes me, I must admit, I'm getting a bit speechless here, because seasons gone by, long time viewers, it was, I believe, of course, where we had gaps of 5 seconds, 10 seconds. We do maybe sometimes see that towards the end of the race, if there's incidents crept in a high attrition race. But we very rarely saw DRS trains like this. This was the sort of stuff you saw in Tier 1, Tier 2 and the top end of Tier 3 last season. To see it all the way down here in what was the equivalent of Tier 5 last season is absolutely brilliant to see. Harvey going a little bit deep and letting his teammate back by. Is that team orders as such, or was that a genuine mistake from Harvey? Are those softs already starting to overheat and lose their grip? Well, he's just lost out to Tomo Tip Top on the run down to turn 4, and Murphy, Cavolis, Cami, Wuban, Duncan, Victor Mean and very nearly Warrior Huntsman are all in tow with this Pack for DRS train going from P1 all the way down to P12, apart from that little gap to Tomo Tip Top that's opened up again. And I think Harvey's tyres are starting to slowly die a death. Mighty Atom has had a mini death on the exit of turn 4, looks to still be going, and as I've said that, I believe MKP has had another little spin round on turn number 8. Answers on a postcard, as Murphy would say that I say. And Tom Tip Top getting a bit of the commentator's cross. I was just happened to be watching him because I expected there to be some action round about him, having a little bit of a spin. Not a full spin, just a half spin. Of course, we're going to jump back up to the front quickly, and this is a lesson on ERS management. Wee Ravi, to be fair, I was about to say, has saved up his ERS and used it to get by Jenkins, and is now using it to clear the 1 second gap. Has very little ERS left, and you look at the likes of Curley, the likes of Harvey, Murphy in a strong position with 50. A lot of drivers very low on ERS. There are some tracks where, yes, you do have to just push and use it, as Warrior Huntsman comes into the pits. Thomas Tiptop and Harvey getting very racy side by side, a little bit of interlocking wheels. Mighty Atom is retired from the session, looks to be involved with Pancake, and that is going to be a safety car. Warrior Huntsman will be kicking his boots down the corridor tonight, just came into the pits, and then the safety car comes out. He is going to lose a bit of time around to the cars around him, of course. Not as much as if it was a full green flag pit, of course, so the pack going to be neutralised. We're going to get a nice little race restart. I believe it will be lap 10. We'll go green flag racing. Of course, 29 laps this evening, so it will be about a third of the way into the race. I wish we had a replay feature. I believe Mighty Atom and Pancake going side by side through the final corner and just getting intertangled in some shape or another, coming together, the wheels interlocking maybe, and maybe a little bit spin up of the rear tyres, and one of them, or both of them maybe, ending up in the wall. Mighty Atom up this race. I figured out what it is. It's because I'm talking that much. Rob getting a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. It's a shame because he is going to have the pit, so it is going to be served in the pits. It's not one that can maybe be looked at the stewards if it is some sort of hocus pocus bogus nonsense. We'll wait and see. And speaking of wait and seeing, what is going to happen with the front runners? Wee Ravi is going to come into the pits. Jenkins is going to come into the pit. Yeah, they're all going to punt it. I think that's a smart decision to do. Harvey's got to be careful here, though. Doesn't get infringement for slowing down the pack and backing them up. I believe he'd just be alright. You can stick to the 2-second delta. It would have nearly been a lap or two early. It would have been perfect for him for the softs. You can really see the wear and the marbles, I believe that could be on the softs. And interestingly, going on the mediums, Wee Ravi going on the softs. Duncan has stayed out. Jenkins, of course, on the mediums as well. Curley, Tomo and Cavalas, they're easily going to be able to take these, the 20 or so, 19 laps to the end. But some of the drivers, it looks to be, not just some, a lot of them either gambling on a secondary safety car to then pit off these softs and maybe go another set to the end. Some of them gambling that the mediums are going to be good enough to run to the end, and some of them gambling that there's going to be no interruptions to this race. Curley, Tomo, Tip Top, Cavalas, the three looking at that. That is, some would say, the safe option, but of course it can leave you stranded on the early restarts, and if something does happen, maybe in about 9-10 laps time, you look a little bit egg on your face. Of course, the same goes opposite for those on the softs. The medium, a little bit of a balanced one. I think you could stretch them to the end. You need to go full Stretch Armstrong, don't get me wrong. Get them, like, them rubber bands that you get from the showground. They're a little bit plasticky, they smell a bit funny, but they do stretch quite far, and you can really, really whip your little sister with them. As a weird tangent back to my childhood, you can tell what kind of child I was. Don't clip that out of context, by the way, either. I know what you're like, some of yous out there. But it is going to be lap 8 then, the safety car picking the pack up. We should have them all grouped up by the end of lap 9, and hopefully green flag racing at the start of 10 out of 29. Duncan leading the pack, of course, still yet to pick. Wee Ravi in net P1, ahead of Jenkins, Curley. Cavalas down in P6, net P5. Cammy down in P9, net P8. So let's get my abacus out, or more importantly, let's get my photo of the graphics. So We're going to assume Duncan pits and drops behind all these guys, of course. Curley in P3, 20 points. Cavalis would be in P5, 15 points, so 6 point of difference. That wouldn't be enough in Curley's. Well, yeah, that wouldn't be enough, sorry, for Curley to jump Cavalis. The gap is 10 seconds. Cammy, of course, would go to P8, sorry, with Matt Pitton. That would be 8 points, so 6 point advantage for Cavalis. Would not be enough to jump. So as things stand, the P2 battle would remain the same. All the other battles, unfortunately, I don't have a supercomputer for a brain to be able to work that out on the fly, but I can tell you there'll be some movement and shapement. Oh, it's going to be a long hour. Not even an hour. Maybe an hour. 45 minutes. That's all you've got to put up with before, folks. 45 minutes or 20 or so laps around this beautiful Sakir International Circuit. Of course, first held, I don't have the stat hand, I believe it was 2000, it was either 2004 or 2005. It was 2004. It's had its time on and off as the season opener. It's, of course, I don't think it's going to be the season opener from 2025. Announcements of Australia going back to the season opener. That's a little bit of a throwback for the more hardcore older fans, you could almost say. Those that have been around longer than 20 years. Of course, Australia used to be an opener on the calendar, and it's an interesting time for the calendars. Of course, we've got all the cars released for 2024. We've got all the drama of 2025, and a little bit of a revised calendar this season. A little bit of regionalisation, and yeah, I'm excited about it. Of course, there's other things to be excited about. CRL, end of season 10. There was the big questions, what's happening with season 11, and there was announcements last night. Now, unfortunately, just given the state of the game and the insider knowledge, I suppose you could call it, we have that 24 is coming sooner rather than later, and just with the state of some of the attendances, not so much like I've said in Tier 4, season 11 will be, as things stand, on the new game. However, that doesn't mean Cone's going away. Of course, the announcement of the CRL ACC season kicking off very, very shortly will be brought to you on a Thursday. The Cone Cup making its return very, very shortly, and I do have belief that there is something in the works for a Monday night that works around. Don't, of course, quote me on any of this, because I am just a rogue man with a microphone right now, but there is going to be plenty of action during the off-season, and to get us hyped up back in and keep things going until we take over to 2024. I can tell you about the Cone Cup. If you haven't done one before, you're in for a good time. And if you have done one before, if you think the last ones were good, I can tell you the Mr. and Mr. Booth, that makes it sound like they're a couple, doesn't it? They're brothers. Two brothers. One old, one young. Definitely not a couple. You can't see me right now, but I'm winking, doing some nice facial gestures. They've come up with some brilliant. I'm getting really off topic here. It's a bit like a podcast at this stage. It's just a drunk Scottish man rambling. I must say I'm not fully drunk, just had a little bit of liquid courage to get me ready to speak to you all fine people. Anyway, I'm waffling on here, rambling a little bit. The Cone Cup, like I say, if you've done it before, you know what to expect, but this time it's going to be even better. If you've never done it before, you're in for an absolute thrill of a time. Action-packed for a short few weeks. Teams of drivers from all tiers and all abilities mixing and working together in a very more casual environment, it must be said. It's not as drilled down, and the grids maybe aren't as close, but there's still racing going on all around, and definitely something to get hyped and looked forward to. Thank you all for listening to my TED Talk during that safety car. I was one lap out, just AFL, going a little bit later on the pits, going on to fresh softs. There's a little bit of mixing back and forward between positions, like MKP and CRL. Spider getting very close at the back, swapping positions. It is going to be Duncan on this restart as we come around the final corner to end turn 10, end lap 10 and start lap 11. It's going to be green flag racing for the second time this evening, with the Williams running us down to turn 1. The McLaren of Wee Rabbie on the fresh softs, really chasing them down behind. Fresh softs, of course, 3 laps on the tyre life, 0 laps on the race life, and that's going to give a big advantage on the 7 race laps of hards. Not enough to quite get it through 1 and 2, but enough to get it down on 3. Jenkins going to fly by with the help of those fresh arm mediums, but Duncan not really looking to fight as many as he can. He's looking to just hold as much track position and hope for maybe a later safety car that brings him back in a line. Curley on the fresh hards next up to try and get past the injured Williams, I suppose you could say. He's got not quite the same grip here as Thomas Tiptop. Really late on the braking there. A lot of confidence in that car, and was that commentator's curse? Was that commentator's curse? As there's, it's all kicking off here down into turn 10. Essentially that car of who was it, Duncan, getting a little bit loose just on the older scrub tyres. A bit of contact between himself and Curley under the spinning, and a bit of contact between Wuban and Cami. There's a Ferrari off into the wall. Is still in this race. Safety car has been redeployed. What is it I say in most weeks? Safety cars breed safety cars. Chaotic restart for Tier 4 here. So chaotic I couldn't even keep up with it. Wee Ravi leads from Jenkins from Curley. Now this is a bold strategy call. The medium's more likely to go to the end now, of course. The hard's definitely going to go to the end. Why is wee Cami racing Wiban? That's an interesting one. Thomas Tiptop into the pits. Is there damage on this Alpine? That is the curious case for me, or is this a strategy call? Going on to the mediums, this camera angle, absolutely horrendous. Looks like there is some damage. Yeah, there definitely was, of course, getting caught up with Duncan on that spin. Duncan going to come in then himself. Fresh mediums. MKP, fresh mediums. Tom Tiptop, like we've seen, fresh mediums. AFL going on to the fresh hards. Spider onto the fresh mediums, and Harvey onto the fresh hards. So the back 6, yes, back 6 going on to fresh tyres. A mix of 4 medium, 2 hards. The front 11 then sticking it out on the tyres they made at the last pit stop. Of course, they've only done about 7/8 of a flying lap to maybe 6/8, depending on where you were in the queue. So still plenty of tyre life, of course. Every lap, even under these safety car conditions, is going to build into that wear, into that delamination, into that degradation, into that overheating. However, it should all extend the tyre life. Should is the big word. It's the very, very big word. Of course, safety car picking up the pack on that lap 12, so we will serve 13 under safety car at least. Earliest we're looking at going racing is going to be lap number 14, maybe 15 if the same happens again, but I don't think there'll be any late pit stops. Wee Ravi leads from Jenkins, from Curley, Cavolas, Wiban, Cami, Murphy, Victor Mean, Warrior Huntsman, Topher, Pancake, Tom Tiptop, Duncan, MKP, Spider, AFL, and Harvey Mighty Am, the only retiree. And as things stand, MKP is still champion, of course, but Cami is still on course for P2, and I believe... No, apologies to Cavolas. I thought I missed his name, and I got himself and Rob mixed up there. I thought Cavolas down in P15. That could give a chance for Curley to jump up into P3, but as things stand, the standings at the top of the table stay exactly as they are. I'm going to take a quick, there you go, I couldn't even get the sentence out. It was break, and we'll be back just in time for this green flag under racing. I wonder how much it costs to water that grass in the middle of the desert. Anybody else see that on that camera there? It's just a big patch of green in the middle of the track with a couple of halogen lights by the looks of it slapped in the middle of it. I wonder if you can pitch a tent up there for the weekend. That could be a good wee session spot, you know. Sit there, watch all the sessions of the weekend. Get some good action down into turn 11. Or turn 10, sorry, and of course turn your neck round. You could see 8, 9 and 10 of course all in that. Never that rabble on though. Green flag racing once again. It's going to be lap 14. We'll get underway. That looked almost like contact between the Haas and the McLaren there. But I think we're all A-OK. Wee Ravi then going to take it nice and slow, getting a nice little wiggle on. Not Kimi Raikkonen style. That is the Mercedes outright, I believe, of Pancake. Doing the Kimi Raikkonen straight line, holding it out of line just to try and avoid any damage. Can't be a smart move, of course. And it's got to be wee Ravi deciding when we go, and he looked, to be fair, he had me fooled there as if he was going on the final corner. Maybe just everybody expecting him that's where he's to go. Goes round to turn 15 effectively, and then guns it. And to be fair, it looks to have been a fairly clean restart so far. The Haas of wee Cami going down the inside and getting it down the inside of Wiban, I believe. Murphy getting in the mix there. Victor Mean, he's had quite the climb up through these standings, if I believe so, from qualifying. On a very nice little run. The Haas's and the Aston Martins duking it out. Warrior Huntsman getting very close to the rear on the background there of Murphy and settling in behind the McLaren. And I think, I'll cross my fingers and don't jinx it, I think we are through this starting lap. Wee Cammy gets very close to Cavola's. Victor Mean gets a little bit out of shape, and these camera angles are terrible. I'm sorry, the race director here at Bahrain. Get this fixed for next game. These two scrapping it out and wiggling about more than a snake on a trampoline. Try and figure out the sense in that analogy. Even I don't know what that one means. Warrior Huntsman though going side by side with Victor Mean, who I just said was on a good little cruise up through the field, was up and about P6, has lost a few positions on restart, but crucially is in the race, is in one piece, and there's time and plenty of laps to try and build his way back up through. Jump back up to the front then, and Curley, Jenkins and wee Ravi, 1.5 second gap to Cavolis. Wee Curley, sorry, doing a great job on those hards on that starting lap. Of course, the softs and the mediums, but there you go, wee Ravi putting in the fastest lap with those softs. It's going to be that little bit quicker. Jenkins darting to the outside. There's a safety car being deployed because Spider and Pancake have had a little dance around the final corner. Interessante, as Mr. Fandango would say. Safety car number 3 has been deployed. Those two are going to cruise into the pits. Not really going to lose much out of it. There seems to be... What is going on back here, folks? I think just the Deltas catching a few drivers off guard, come out with 3 and really bunching up the pack and causing a little bit of mayhem there. I've said it before, I've said it again. What did they breed? What happens, folks, when you get a safety car? Make safety cars. And it's number 3 here tonight within quick succession. We've had 2 laps of green flag, 1 lap between each of the safety cars, of course. And it puts a bold spin on the strategy. I mean, these softs, they haven't seen much in the way of green flag racing, but they're still going to be warm. The mediums, more and more likely to go to the end, but they are going to be starting to scream those last few laps, and the hards just looking in a strong position, but will be slow towards the end. So does anybody pull the trigger and maybe gamble? A set of softs would be bold to go to the end from here. A set of mediums would be ideal, but that puts you down in the pack, and you've got to make up the time using those fresh tyres. And the way we've seen the restarts going, there has been a little bit of bump and cuddles, shall we say, from the pack. We'll see what the leaders do. Wee Ravi does funnel into the pits. Jenkins stays out. Curley into the pits off the hards. I would expect to see some mediums going on that Ferrari. The same with Wee Ravi. It looks as if most of the pack funneling into the pits. Yeah, Curley going for the mediums and comes out inside of an Alfa Romeo. Thankfully, we have the old ghosting on. So most of the pack coming out then on fresh mediums. Duncan's going to be in 4-lap old mediums just due to older tyres only being available for selection. He's run out of fresh mediums. So the front 6 then staying out. Jenkins and Cavalis 8-lap old mediums and hards respectively. Tomo Tip Top MKP 4-lap old mediums. Harvey and AFL 4 and 5-lap old hards. Of course, they haven't seen much in the way of racing. Duncan has actually put on for a fresh set of mediums. My apologies. That was his old set of mediums he came off, so he was on the same life tyre as Tomo Tip Top and NKP, choosing for a fresh set. The only one of the backpack, you could say, from P7 all the way down to P17. Rob on the hards, they're definitely going to make it to the end. Will be a little bit more, a little bit slower in the first initial stint, but if he can hold it out and stick with the pack over the first few laps towards the end of the Grand Prix, they will of course become the better tyre. The front 6 are all up in the air because, truth be told, I don't know, I don't have an accurate indication of what kind of percentage they'll be sitting on just with so many yellow flag safety car laps. I will know they won't have much racing time through them, but I think I've said it a few times, that percentage, that wear, it's still going to slowly trickle up and add up. Jenkins then leads the pack, I believe our third safety car leader of this evening. I've talked so much there that my mouth stopped working. But that's a sentence you thought you'd never hear over an F1 race. Cavalis then in P2. Now that is a big move from him, because I believe as things stand, it would put him P2 in the standings, ahead of Curly and ahead of Cammy, P8 and P9 respectively. Respectively. Words, Scott. They're handy to know, eh? They're handy to know. Good to use the correct word. Bunched up is the pack. Said that sentence back to the front, a little bit like Yoda, but the pack be bunched up. It is, I'm hoping, going to be safety car in this lap. Growstick saying good evening, Scotty boy. Good evening, Jack. Thank you for joining us here. I hope you had a good race in Tier 3, and assuming that means Tier 3 is finito. The curtain's down on that Tier 3 season then. What has been a sprawling Tier 3 season, the championship battle going all the way to the final race. Even I don't know who won it. Probably even some of the drivers might not even know who won it, because Stewarden and post-race pens could come into it. Of course, all the champions will be confirmed in the coming weeks or so. Still to be decided is just Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 2, Tier 1, all already decided before going into this last race, but Tier 3 taking it right down to the wire. Pro 6 race was alright, apart from accidentally turning to Leroy there, accidentally ruining Mazel's race. Well, that's unfortunate here, Jack, but you spun him out lap 1. Well, it's not the biggest of spoiler. You know to expect a crash in lap 1 at least, folks. So keep an eye out for that when you do tune in, which I hope you will after this race to the Tier 3 replay. Unless maybe you've just came from there. If so, welcome. I'm CRL Freefall, your regular-ish commentator in Tier 4. I'm here myself tonight. I'm waffling on quite a little bit of nonsense, but I hope it's at least semi-entertaining. And we are on our third safety car of this evening. In fact, our third back-to-back safety car, yet to complete a green flag lap once the safety car has been out. Tactical stretch off the mouth there, getting ready for what could be 12 laps of action-packed racing, which means for us we're looking at approximately 18 minutes for these drivers to endure towards the end. Wee Rabbit leaving a bit of a gap there, 2 seconds, gonna maybe just warm up the tyres. That could cause some problems back behind if he's not too careful, although the pack that bit more experience than they were at the start of the season. Like I've said, they've all improved, not just this season, over the course of the season. Jenkins is taking it slow. He's running it up as late as he can, bunching the boys up, as a certain freefall would have said all those years ago. And it is going to be back to green flag racing. This is maybe going to cause a little bit of chaos in the mid-pack here as they run down towards turn 1. Jenkins has got a good run though. Cavalis under threat from Tomo Tip Top. Those mediums going to be a bit more bitey than the hards, and there's so many little green and red arrows on the left-hand side of the screen. I can't even keep up. Murphy, 3-second time penalty once again for cutting the corners. MKP back up into P4 despite spinning out on turn 1. This just shows you never give up, never surrender. Cammy is on his charge though to try and secure this P2 in the championship. Murphy has had a spin at the back on the exit of turn 4, and he will probably be cussing because we've had spins and crashes on the last few restart laps, and his has been the only one without a safety car. And I was waiting to just jinx it there. Wee Cammy getting involved with Cavolis and wee Rabi, and the three of them coming together. There goes an Alfa Romeo off to the side of the screen, and well, I can't even keep up. I genuinely just can't. There was so much going on there. There was so much to unpack, and my little peanut brain just did not compute. I believe Cammy made virtual safety car deployed, maybe just overrunning through the corner, making contact with the car in front and causing a little bit of come together. Spider, I should say, a 5-second penalty for severe collision with Victor Mean. Victor Mean is in front. I wonder if that was just hard racing and the two of them having a little bit of a dunt just as this virtual safety car came out. Answers on a postcard, we'll find out maybe post-race. Jenkins into the pits though. Oh, that is a bold call from Jenkins. Coming in from the lead under this virtual safety car. Duncan doing the same. I wonder if a bit of damage picked up there. Is there damage on the Haas? No, he is just... I'm trying to just figure out. So there's no damage. I don't know why he's made that pit stop, to be honest. I don't like to question driver strategies and choices, but he was on relatively fresh-ish mediums. He would have easily got to the end. He's on hard. I could understand going for softs. He's obviously run out of softs. Murphy's got a drive-through, I shouldn't laugh, for speeding under the penalty. It's just not been the season finale for our admin Murphy. Jenkins now in 14th, well adrift. Yes, he's got fresh tyres, but they're only a few laps younger, and they're not a soft enough compact. It's going to be a struggle to make his way back up through the field, but go up to the front because AFL is doing a bit of rally cross by the looks of things, and now he's got Wuban for great company down side by side the run to turn 11. Wuban, make me choke on my own tongue, and going for the move down into turn 11. His teammate Warrior Huntsman getting a little bit argy-bargy, as Mr. Tony would say, with AFL, but the two of them keeping it respectful enough, clean enough, and here comes wee Rabi dipping that toe right inside the tub, up in the inside of turn number 13. There's a weird analogy for you, and you would get one tonight, and up into P7. Warrior Huntsman though hanging around the outside of 14, onto the curb, losing the car a little bit under traction, does well to keep it out of the wall, and does lose one more position to CRL Spider. Murphy into the pits behind to serve that drive-through. Hopefully he doesn't retire in the pits. I would hate to see Murphy retire because we've seen it with MKP and such. Anything can happen and your race can really come back alive. DRS enabled once again. We're on lap 20 of 29 here in Bahrain. Thank you once again to all that have joined us for this last race of this season here. Warrior Huntsman chasing down AFL. Going to keep on board with this battle. It is looking to be the closest on the track. Topher very close behind Pancake. There's a sentence in there somewhere on the kind of the tailor end of this little train. In fact, we're going to jump up to the teammate. It's CRL Wuban. He was getting very close to Harvey there, and I wonder if a little bit of a drag race down towards turn number 11. He seems to be on a little bit lower wings, of course, having DRS. Yellow flag in sector 2, that is Cavolis as Wuban, hard mouth there for a second on the exit of turn 11, just lighting up those rears, almost putting it to the wall on the left hand side. Does well to hold it, and does well to not really lose much in the way of time. Wee Rabi tight on the tail of Wuban after that, however, and might try and shape up a move. Of course, DRS going to be available for a lot of them. MKP putting in the fastest lap. He's battling out with Tomo Tip Top. We've seen that before. Is it MK Pole, or is it MKP1 or Tomo Tip Top off the pack that's going to finish up top? We'll wait and see. Wee Rabi going for a dive and a half. That is audacious. Running Wuban a little bit off the track. That might be one for the steward's office. We'll wait and see. And Harvey coming back. It was almost move of the season. But I think maybe just the elbows slightly too far out there. These two going side by side through turn at number 4. And Jenkins, who I did miss score for going onto the hards, has put the fastest lap of the race. So it's the fastest car on track as things stand. Rabi having to settle in behind Harvey, and Harvey regaining that P4. Wuban might be a little bit upset with that. I can understand why. It was a little bit elbows out to the extreme, and we'll see how this battle plays out. The three of them all separated by just over half a second. Rabi getting a little bit poor of an exit from turn number 10, however, pulled across to the left hand side, and a bit of teamwork maybe coming here from the Aston Martins. Somehow Warrior Huntsman not having DRS, braking a little bit late there, almost running into the back of Rabi, and almost half having a look around the outside. Doesn't quite materialise for him, and wee Rabi now tight to the rear of Wuban. Harvey, thanks to this bit of squabble, gained a bit of time out front, 7 times clear, as MKP is chasing down Tomo Tip Top once again. Wee Rabi though going for the move on Wuban, or Wuban, sorry, going for the move on Rabi, it could be said, down into turn number 14. And that will, of course, do enough to give him DRS, despite the 1.3 second gap, given where that detection zone is. Wuban going to burn a bit of energy, and maybe just having higher top speed due to setup is going to go down the inside. I was wondering, is he going to try and return the favour and give a little bump through turn 1? There's something going off in the background there. Wee Rabi getting a 3-second time penalty for track limits. They're squeezing and bumping together, these three, side by side, and Wee Rabi is now at the back. Warrior Huntsman somehow jumped his teammate as well. A little bit of sideways action into front to back action there. The cause of every pancake AFL and Rob having a little bit of ding dong. We're catching up in the sort of rear view cameras of that battle there, but I'm going to jump back on board with Wee Rabi, because this battle is surely heating up for what is essentially P5 on the grid. Curly 1.8 seconds adrift from the top three. Yellow flag in sector 2, that is Victor Mean having a spin on the exit of turn number 8. MKP not able to get the move on Tomo Tip Top as of yet, and I think, yeah, no action going into turn 11 this time. We're going to jump on board with these two, and well, if you've got a little bit of a keen racing sense here, you'll see exactly what MKP is doing. He's saving up some battery. He knows he doesn't need to overtake Tomo Tip Top this lap, next lap, or the lap after that. He just needs to be in front by the end of lap 29, and that is exactly what he's doing. He's keeping Curly at arm's length. He's keeping Tomo Tip Top nice and cushy, just letting him pull along, letting him save that ERS by using the DRS, not losing time to the cars behind with battling, and very, very smart play, and that is what makes you champion of not just this division, of any division. Crucially, he did, of course, win Bahrain in Tier 5 last season. Big shout out to Jamie Indigo for feeding me that knowledge. It was Tier 4 actually, Jamie, last season, I do believe, but I appreciate the help, my friend. I hope you had a good evening in Tier 3 by the sounds of what Jack was saying. It was a little bit of an action-packed race. Let's see what Topher's up to. He was very close to the rear of the AFL. In fact, the AFL running a bit wide through turn number 4 has made the move stick through 5, 6, 7 and 8. A nice little twisting back and forward flowy section of the track, and of course the moment I peek off this battle, something happens. Wuban having a spin, I believe made slight contact with the wall and may have a little bit of damage to the front end. I'm not too sure, but has lost quite a few positions. His teammate battling out with Wee Rabi. The two of these, well, I did catch that one. Warrior Huntsman, I believe, was the car we saw have a little bit of a moment there, although it might have been Wuban on a previous lap or two, and does well once again, if it was him again, to catch that car and not put it in the wall. MKP is very close to the rear of Tomo Tip Top. Curly, though, crucially, is just within the 1 second. I don't think, just given with the detection, is he hasn't got DRS this lap, and that is going to pull that gap out. Rob Spider, sorry, getting a 3-second penalty for track limits. MKP does make the move now on Tomo Tip Top, and Curly just on the cusp of getting in through the 1 second detection. A good run through the second sector here before turn number 10, of course, or turn 9 the detection is. Could see him just slip onto that DRS, and that's really what the Ferrari needs to do here to have a shot at challenging for the win. But crucially, it looks like he's managed to do it. Was about 1.6 behind, has a little bit of a moment out of 8, and the detection just coming up. It's just going to be inside, DRS activated for the Ferrari, and that is going to greatly reduce the amount of time he's losing down on these straights. Seem to be struggling though with a few of the traction zones, and it looks like MKP is now choosing his time to pounce, using a little bit of battery. He's pulled out the gap to 0.8 of a second. If he can get it over that 1 second, you must admit with the battery he's got and the pace he's shown, he could really pull away from Tom the Tip Top and WTL Curly here and leave them as a squabble for P2. Further down the pack, there's been nothing too much to talk about this lap. A lot of the positions staying as they were. Topher and Spider having a battle out. Jenkins picking up a 3-second time penalty. He might be regretting that choice to go on the hards now. Curly certainly isn't regretting the choices he's made in this race, because he's about he thought about it. He did have a little, there was a second there, the light bulb switch on, like, I could go for this move now. Choosing to tuck in behind, he's going to get DRS on the run down to turn 4. Maybe playing the long game is our boy Curly, going down the outside, which will essentially be for turn 4. Gets the move done before the turning in point, and that is P2 for Curly ahead of Tomo Tip Top, but 1.8 seconds adrift from MKP. Murphy, 5-second penalty for speeding into the pits, has chosen to retire from this session, so we'll finish in P17. Of course, points down to 12, or points down to 12. Yes, sorry, I've got my sentences tangled up there. Points down to 12, or if the top cars within the top 12 do not finish the race, as long as they complete 90% of the session, they will still get points. Duncan, 5-second penalty for speeding into the pits. A late pit stop. I wonder if this is a retirement, or is this a driver firing on a set of softs and going to try and break the track, not the track record, but the session record. Yes, it is. I love to see that, Duncan. I absolutely love to see that. Choosing, he's not got much else to play for at this stage of the race. Let's get the softs on. Let's just give it a little blast around for hopefully the final fastest lap of this season. Just about to start lap 26. 4 laps remaining of this Tier 4 season, and it is your championship leader leading the pack, MKP in MKP1. Needs to change his name from MKP02. I've just swapped away, and Warrior Huntsman has had a spin on the exit of the final corner. And Murphy, has he called it too early? Because safety car has been deployed. We're on lap 26. It's going to pick up the pack on lap 27, and it has to come in on 28 because we need 2 green flag racing laps. So this is going to be a sprint to the end. All the cars into the pits then. Wuban, Rob, Huntsman, AFL, Victor Mean, who picks up a 5-second time penalty, the worst time to do so in this Grand Prix for speeding into the pits. It's going to be a flurry. 0 laps of tyre wear. I wonder that most of the pack should get up. And the thing is, with these cars, like the AFL, Spider, Wuban, Huntsman, Cavalis, on the 0 lap softs, they're going to have a marginal bit more wear than those in front that do choose the pit. So I wonder if that will make a huge difference. I don't think it will. I also wonder, is there going to be anybody? Is there going to be a left field of maybe somebody in this top 8 who just chooses, I'm going to stick this out. I know I'm on 10 lap old mediums, and I know there's been a few cars under safety cars, and there's been a bit of drama and a bit of things going here. Is anybody going to choose to stay out for track position? MKP does. The big man at the top does. Tom the Tip Top does. Curly does also. Harvey does. Wee Rabbi does. This is an interesting choice. Topher into the pits. Now the thing is, Topher, it's a good choice for Topher, because he's only really, I think he's only going to lose out to Jenkins here. And I'm really surprised that none of maybe Pancake wouldn't have lost out much. Of course, doesn't have any penalties. Spider, his day going from bad to worse. He had a few penalties over the course of this race. Some particularly weren't his fault. That one definitely was for speeding under the safety car period. And Harvey, another one, and maybe even Curly, maybe not opting to go for the softs. Of course, we don't know how many tyres they have left. Of course, Topher has lost 1 position and got a fresh set of red boots on. We'll see how that runs out. Nathan in the chat, hola my friend, saying Curly's going to win. Wuban podium. Do you know what? A Curly, Topher, Wuban podium, it's not off the cards here. Warrior Huntsman's been pretty quick. Cavolis has been pretty quick on those fresh softs. It's a 2-lap sprint, and we've seen how the old and the new tyres can have such a differential. That was, of course, on hards and mediums at the first safety car. When Duncan stayed out 7-8 laps old hards versus fresh mediums and fresh hards, we saw how much the pace differential was. Now compare that with 8, 12, 11, 15 lap old hards mediums versus fresh red stripe softs. The pace is going to be massive between them. We'll see how this plays out then. The top 7 on the older, harder compounds. The rest of the pack minus Victor Mean on the fresh softs. However, Warrior Huntsman might have, I just realised Cavolis might be out of the contention for that there, because he might struggle to make it. Rob definitely going to make it, and AFL just. Warrior Huntsman is, I think, just going to miss out. It depends all when MKP goes. Yeah, Rob has just caught up to the pack. Warrior Huntsman is going to be a few seconds adrift because MKP has pulled the trigger and we are now racing here. So the top 11 all in this train, all in this fight. The top 7 of them all on the older tyres. The rest of them on brand new softs. AFL and Rob, of course, with penalties, as does Ravi and Jenkins. We'll quickly flash them up. Of course, 3 seconds for Ravi, for Jenkins. Rob has a drive-through, so it's really out of contention. So it's really this top 11, 12 that we're looking at here, although one of them has had a spin. I believe that is on a postcard somewhere, the answer, as I like to say. I'm going to ride on board with Topher here a little bit on wood. Are they able to make these fresh softs punch through the pack? We'll see how it plays out. They need to, of course, use them as quick as they can, because Topher, he has, of course, got no penalties. He's going to potentially go up to P4 if he can jump Harvey or Curly or MKP in some way or another, or a penalty sets in for them. Topher could be looking at a podium. Wuban will be lighting up and seeing those things as well. No DRS to assist, of course, down the start-finish straights or any of the DRS zones, and these cars coming through this third sector for the second last time of the evening and second last time of the season. Harvey and Curly on for a double Ferrari podium as things stands. Curly, I believe, with Cammy out of the points, could be on to jump him, and maybe, just maybe, it might actually go to countback, which I'm not too sure how that would all line up. These ones all battling though, and this is going to be, lights up the eyes of Topher. Almost a huge collision there with Harvey, and I believe that was Jenkins. Topher going around the outside, goes off track, just trying to keep space, does pick up a 3-second time penalty. He was so close to the podium, so close. We might go down the inside into turn 4 then. This could be for the podium, this move here, because a few cars in front now have pens. Topher running wide, trying to avoid, might have just dashed his hopes at a podium and could be looking down more at P7. MKP currently leads Curly. There's a yellow flag, and that is for Jenkins, who drops down to P10. I am losing my ability to speak minute by minute, second by second. This has just been action-packed from start. I think then, with the penalties, Harvey could still end up in P4. Warrior Huntsman could end up in P6 of some sort. It's all going to be all over the place. We'll see how it all finishes out at the end. MKP though, despite having that turn 1, that lap 1 spin, unless there's a little bit of late magic through the final few corners on this final few rundown from Curly, it doesn't look like he's going to be in position. He lost it on lap 1, fell right down to the pack, kept his cool, played the strategy right, and just played the ERS battles right. He's going to cross the line to win once again. Your champion MKP takes a win in Bahrain. Curly in P2. Wuban does get onto the podium. Harvey in P4. Tom the Tiptop, Ravi, Topher finishing very close together, as does Warrior Huntsman. AFL in P9. Cavolis in P10 is going to pick up, I believe it is 3 points. Does Cavolis. No, 4 points. My apologies. Duncan going to come home in P11, but I think Pancake will just jump him here. And I'm just trying to do a little bit of the old mathematics. You know, oh, Pancake, he could have had P11. He has chosen to give us some donuts. I must admit, it feels weird to be on the wrong side of not the wrong side, the other side of the donuts. Victor Mean is going to join him in the donuts. He could maybe sneak P12, but Victor Mean is going to join him in the donuts. This is brilliant. This gives me a little bit of time to do some maths. So Cammy was 22 points ahead of Curly. Cavolis was 10 ahead of Curly, and I think with this result, Curly 24 points tonight will sneak P2 in the championship. If my mathematics is correct, is Spider, Cammy and Jenkins. They all know these are not really points paying positions as such. They're coming home in a synchronised fashion as Victor Mean and Pancake cross the line. I think we're going to get another round of donuts here from the two Haas and the Red Bull. Crucially, all in the title fight, but Red Bull only picking up 4 points here tonight, and they are currently needed. So the Haas boys maybe about as disappointed as I am with those donuts, Cammy. Yeah, it's a thing of beauty. It really is. It really is. I never noticed that when it's AI ghosted. You can see the driver's feet sort of wiggling about. Are they going to try and do it all at the same time? Well, Cammy is going to take the position due to penalties. They are trying to do a synchronised line cross here. It's about as synchronised as I won't say the rest of that sentence because it's probably 1, not suitable for children, 2, not suitable for YouTube, and 3, doesn't make any sense. But there we have it. Season 4 is done. Season 10 for Tier 4 is done. Season 4, Tier 4. You know what I meant. It's all done and dusted here. MKP has a thing of beauty for a Scotsman to see. Does take the win here in Bahrain and does continue to extend that lead in the championship that he secured last time out in the Netherlands. Curly in P2 and Wuban on the podium in P3. Harvey ahead of Toma Tip Top, Wee Rabbi, Topher, Warrior Huntsman, AFL and Cavolis rounding off that top 10. Cavolis get a bonus point for fastest lap, of course. Duncan in 11 ahead of Pancake in 12, and then Victor Mean, Cammy, Jenkins, Spider, Murphy and Mighty Atom rounding off the grid. Murphy and Mighty Atom, the two non-finishers of the evening. I'll quickly then see, and not just see, I'll quickly just add our top 3 into the comms booth here and see if they want to have a last little chat before we sign off for the season here in Tier 4. Normally I have my little assistant Harry to do this, so bear with me, folks. I don't know what you're seeing right now. I hope you're seeing just the screen and the fireworks. If not, then apologies. But we have invited our top 3 in to see if any of them want a little chat. I believe MKP and Curly, they are regulars for joining us. So hopefully one of, if not all of them join. We'll wait and see, and hopefully Wuban can get in for a quick little chat. I see Curly is already in, so I'm not going to mess about waiting to see if the others are joining. We'll just get straight into this. Curly, that was an interesting race, a lot of action. I believe, though, with Cammy outside of the points and Cavolis provisionally in P10, that'd be 4 points for Cavolis, no points for Cammy, 24 for you. That would see you clinch P2 in the standings. I take it that was the aim tonight.
Oh, my main aim was just to beat Cavolis and Cammy and just hope for the best. That was it. And yeah. And yeah, I'm surprised Cammy obviously finished where he did. After one of the safety cars, he actually passed me, and then him, Murphy, and someone else had, I don't know what went on. 3 of them just had a little turn, and obviously, and I just passed all 3 of them, and Harvey as well. I've got to say thanks to Harvey. He was great tonight. It's like he held up he had to do his job. Sorry, Harvey, but he had to do what he had to do. If he had to pass me, because he was on faster tyres at one point, but if he had to pass me, then he'd had to pass me. But he done what he had to do. But GG's to MKP as well for winning the championship. But yeah, absolutely great drive. I didn't expect this at the beginning of the season, not whatsoever, not at all. But yeah. Absolutely, what am I doing? So yeah, I can't believe it. P2. But GG's to Kavlos and Cami as well for a great fight in the season. Absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. I feel you're in a very similar mind to myself right now. A little bit frazzled and all over the place, but no, certainly you said you didn't expect it going into this season. From not just a commentator, a viewer, and a fellow driver's standpoint, and an admin standpoint, of course, the pace improvement, not just from yourself, but the grid as a whole, has been immense. And it must be, no disrespect to MKP here, it's a shame he was in the tier. He really picked up his pace in the second half of the season, came sort of out of left field, and really, he never made it his own, but he always had. Would have been an insane title fight had it been between you three. But you made the silver medal go all the way, and claiming it in very dramatic fashion, it must be said. Under those, I'm just going to ask, under those safety cars, for me it looked like there was just one or two little incidents causing them. What was your sort of overall feeling of that race?
Didn't see any of them.
It was all pretty clean from your point of view then.
Yeah. I had a little, not under the safety car, but me and Wee Wabby on one corner. I don't know what happened, but I think he just sort of like broke maybe a little early. I think it was on the sharp left-hander, I believe, going on the back DRS straight. I just tapped him, had a little wobble, managed to hold it. But apart from that, I didn't see, and I had a clean race. So, yeah, I just thought that's all I needed to do. Keep it clean, beat Kavlot and Cami, and hope for the best. So, I love Bahrain. Bahrain's one of my favourite tracks as well. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it's one of my favourite tracks. So that's why I was so quick as well, I think. But yeah, it was great. Tomo as well, good race for him. Unfortunately, I think his tyres just died off at the end. I don't know what happened, but yeah, good race for Tomo as well. But unfortunately, Ferrari couldn't get a double podium either. That had been the second time this season. Obviously, me and Nugget beforehand, but yeah. But mate, I would say GG's on the comms as well. Obviously, you started in Tier 3, didn't you, at the beginning of the season? But mate, GG's on the comms. Brilliant as always.
Thank you very much. Yeah, started off Tier 3. We left the youngins in charge of Tier 4. And fortunately, the old experienced dogs had to come back and pull them out of the rubble.
Can I just say, I'm sure this is from all of us as well. Rob, obviously, we all send our love out, mate, obviously, for your dad and that. So, mate,
Absolutely. I love it. I must admit, on that point as well, from a head admin and the community point, it's great to see the solidarity and Rob. Rob is, I've spoke to Rob in recent days, in fact, very, very recent, that he knows the solidarity and support is there, and I can pass on that message that he does appreciate every little bit of it. So thank you to yourself, Colin. Thank you to everybody on this grid for taking part in that tonight. It's absolutely brilliant to see.
Roll on season 11.
Exactly. Well, you've seen our plans, of course. I'm hoping you might have seen the leaks as well that the game is coming sooner rather than later. By all accounts.
I heard that tonight. Someone told me. Apparently, May the 31st.
See.
I can't understand why they're bringing it early.
Never doubt the head admin's plans. We always know.
Someone's just said in my chat, WTF? Yeah, well, I didn't even know that. It's usually like June or July.
Yep.
So just be prepared for a lot of glitches, guys. I'm sorry.
No, I think to be fair, we've it's Codemasters F1 and glitches. They sort of go hand in hand. Of course, that was the first game on the new gen only, so I think there'll be the fair share of incidents and glitches. But hopefully, it's a major step forward for the franchise and for league racing as a whole once again, and can do a job to revitalise the community and the whole aspect of things. My only question then for you before we quickly sign off: Monday night next week, You're not going to have any plans. Well, you might have plans, but it's not going to be CRL related. What is the plan? So you can
Mate,
kick the feet up and
mate,
relax, or?
every week, right, there's 3 days I look forward to. Sundays, Wednesdays, and Mondays. I don't know what I'm going to do on Mondays anymore. I really don't. Obviously, unless Nathan and obviously all the admins get something sorted before. Obviously, surely they got something going on. I don't know, something mini series or something like that. I don't know. But apart from that, I don't know. I've got Football Manager, I suppose. I don't know, Skull and Bones. I don't know, something.
Find something to keep you active for a few weeks. Yeah, there will be announcements and more details, of course, flooding out in the coming weeks. There will, of course, be a couple of weeks off no matter what, just the old admin tidying up side of things, and yeah, we'll go from there. And hopefully, well, certainly, I don't think it's a hopefully. I like to hear we'll be seeing you back for season 11, and
Definitely.
I think
Like I
no
said,
matter what
sorry,
tier
mate.
you're in,
Go
you'll
on.
definitely be up there competing, because your year-on-year improvement has been good to see.
Season 3, no, tier 3, I won't stand a chance. Have you seen the pace of those guys? I won't stand a chance in tier 3. I think MKP, I think he'll do alright in there. Personally, I think he will do alright in there.
Definitely.
Did Cammy finish third? Did Cammy finish third?
I believe so, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think Cammy will be alright in there. Me, I'll be at the back. I'll be getting lapped. That'll be me every week, getting lapped. I don't stand a chance. Obviously, you've got Rapid in there. You've got Indian Jesus, who I think that was a fight between those two tonight for the title, wasn't it? Which unfortunately Indian Jesus won. I'm saying unfortunately because I'm a friend of Rapids. But well done, Indian Jesus. But yeah, there's Rapid guys in there, and yeah, I ain't gonna stand a chance. So Nathan, wink, wink, tier 4 still.
Never say never, of course. There is a whole host of drivers, past and present, that have raced in the bottom of the academy when it was known as tier 4, and I believe even tier 5. Myself, of course, included.
Last season.
McConey, Nemo, all raced in the bottom tiers. A few of them making it to tier 1, a lot of them making it to tier 2 and podium centres in tier 2. So never say never. New game, of course, new engine, anything can happen, mate. And exactly. I think no matter where you are,
they're actually doing a new engine, succeed. Are they?
It's the same engine as WRC.
Yes. That is going to be epic. That's going to be epic. That's going to be epic, mate. I'll let you sign off.
No worries, mate. Thank you for joining me once again. You've been an ever present anytime you've been on the podium in the comms booth.
Oh, hang on. Weebans. Robert Allen says he wants an invite.
All right,
that's Rob. Yeah, Rob wants to say something.
We'll get him in very quickly. Thank you for the spot. I'm completely in comms mode here, not looking at anything. I have seen I've got a missed call from him. And here he is. Rob, thank you for joining us, mate. I believe you've got a couple of words you want to say. I'll just hand it over to you and let you do your thing, mate.
Yeah. Basically, boys, it's been a hard and long season for us all. I mean, congratulations to MKP for winning the season with 1 round to go. Obviously, congratulations to our podium sitters. A lot of the boys know, as you've mentioned on stream, that unfortunately this week just gone, I did unfortunately lose my dad to bowel cancer. I just want to say on the stream now to everyone that partaked tonight in putting the 65 on their car, myself included. You really don't know how much that actually meant to me to see a lot of us go around with the 65 on the car. Scott, you caught me off guard earlier to the point in qualifying I actually had to come into the pits and have a minute to myself. It's been a long and hard season. It has especially been for me. My head's not been there. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's messaged, thank you to everyone that's checked up on me, and just thank you to everyone that's been just that shoulder I needed this season. I know it's not been the best of seasons for myself, but in season 11 when we come back in F124, Hopefully I can come back stronger, better, and I'm just looking forward to battling everyone. But I just really want to say thank you to absolutely everyone in the CRL community that has really banded around me over this last week and months. So thank you, honestly, everyone, from the bottom of my heart, because it's a really bad time at the moment, and doing this has kept my mind off of things. So thank you.
Mate, honestly, losing anyone, obviously a family member, is always hard. So you know what I mean. You know, we're all here for you.
I'd just like to say on behalf of the admin team, it's what we want as the community, and I've said it a few times. It's brilliant to see. So, again, that sort of hospitality and that sort of support, it's there for everybody, and I would like to think that the majority of our members are very much in. As much as we like to gather around and call each other menaces as such, I think the term was, at racing each other. At the end of the game, we're all just sitting here trying to pass an hour or two in our living rooms or offices or bedrooms, whatever, racing fake cars around the track. And what matters is the community and the people that we do it with. So a big shout out to the community over this last, not just this season, the last however many seasons, 10 seasons, shall we say, because that's the actual number. So here's to season 11 when it does come. Here's to F1 24. I will quickly sign off then and just say that Tier 3 had its championship battle concluded tonight with the very, very amazing Jamie Indigo commentating over that. On Thursday, there'll be the final races of Tier 2 and Tier 1. I believe Jamie will be commentating Tier 1. Rob, are you in the pipeline for Tier 2, or is that are you unable to attend this week?
I'm more on the side of probably no. Let me see how I'm feeling on Wednesday. You have a definitive answer, but it'll most likely be a no.
If not, then we'll have the ever-reliable AFL and maybe Murphy back in once again. So no matter what, we'll have an excellent calm teams. For the last time this season, I've been CRL Freefall. Thank you very much, and we will see you later on in the year for not just ACC, but for the long-awaited return of the Cone Cup. I said it before, I'll say it again. If you ain't done it, you ain't ready.